وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيمة.
The other aspect, you talked about the severe punishments, the suitably harsh punishments. Now, I'm not here to justify them to you, because I don't think Islam requires any justification. Just like many of the liberals don't think that liberal interventionism when you go into Iraq and Afghanistan requires any justification. However, I want to be very clear. And in Islam, the suitably harsh punishments are there as a deterrent effect. Muslims don't want everyone's hand to be cut off. Muslims don't want everyone to be stoned. That's not the reality of the Muslim. The Muslim's here to show mercy and compassion. What happens is the suitably harsh punishments, they are there to act as a deterrent. And the conditions for those punishments are so hard, are so difficult, that it's almost impossible for any of these punishments to come into practice. For example, for someone to get stoned to death, you need 4 pious witnesses that saw the act. As the scholars say, the pen goes in the ink. Okay? And you have to see it done in public. You don't even see that in Oslo. You don't even see that in the worst place in Soho in London. You don't even see that in the red light district. And even you say, oh, but I saw them in the house. You're not a pious witness anymore. Because for you to spy on someone means you're not pious. So the point is, in the Islamic tradition, is not everyone to go crazy. Because look, let's be very frank here. The Islamic tradition is very powerful because we need these things. In the Western world, there's 167 rapes every day in London, in England. 90,000 rapes a year according to Amnesty International. In every 4 women, 1 woman is battered and beaten in England. In America, every 13 seconds a woman is beaten, every 6 seconds she's raped. This is the reality of Western liberal countries, because they don't have an advocation of morality. They have to have a principled distance to morality, as in the words of Professor Will Klimlicker, who's a liberal philosopher. And this is why we have these moral problems. But if you have the Islamic solution, it prevents these things from happening. Just on a final note, we have to go away from the BBC, the media, CNN and Fox News narrative on punishments. It's a very cartoon of the Sharia, a very detailed law. Just imagine, outside a shop you have a guy with a huge beard. Then you have a woman covering her hands and face with a sword by her side. And there's a small Norwegian guy who's hungry. He goes to the shop and steals a cookie. The guy trips him up with his beard. He falls on the floor. The niqab, he takes the niqab off, gets the sword, cuts his hand. Allahu Akbar. This is the cartoon. This is the cartoon of Sharia law. And I think that Dr. Lars Gule, he should educate his humanists, because the humanists never come up with things that was an outdated cliche. I think from now on, Muslims should only talk to the wider society about Sharia if they've bothered to pick up and read a book about Sharia. Because everything they go to is the news. We don't go to the news to judge people, we go to the literature. So my point is, stop the cartoons and let's connect with each other as human beings to find out, what do you mean by this? Jazakallah khair.